Yeah. We live in a world we're connected to our friends.
That's true.
We're good to go? All right. Welcome, everybody, to Season 3, Episode 3 of Motivate Me 313's podcast. We are officially live and ready to get this show on the road today. We're looking forward to a great show. You already know, of course, you got myself, Omar T. I'm here. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show. To the right of me, you got my sister, SZ.3. She's in the building today, as always. And then to the left of me, you got my other sister, EP.3. She's always in the building as well. And then our guest for today is, I hope I don't mess this one up because she just told us, this is Machhadie Assi.
Good job. I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of myself. I'm going to be honest with you. You don't understand how bad I messed that up. I probably might even mess it up later on in the show, but it's okay. We're so far 1 for 1. She's our guest for today. You know, today we're going to have a great conversation. You know, we're going to definitely dive into a lot of different topics, a lot of different categories. So we're looking forward to a great show. You know, Mrs. What's your nickname? I'm sorry, I want to hear the nickname. Micho. All right. She does a lot of great things in our community, but today we're gonna definitely dive into, like I said, a lot of different categories, a lot of different topics. So we're looking forward to a great show. Before we start the show, I want to say be sure to follow us on all of our socials. We got YouTube, Oz Media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under Oz Media. If you want to listen to the show later, you can listen to it on Apple and Spotify podcast under Oz Media. If you want to call in, the number is 313-306-1750. Again, 313-306-1750. Of course, we got to give a shout out to our sponsors, Hanley International Academy, Juice Box, the Balkan House, you got Qahwah House, you got BC Adhesives, Specialty Medical Center, and Unique Coney Island. We were just talking about Brahim and Qahwah House earlier, as Micho is over here drinking the wonderful Qahwah House as well. So we are going to go ahead and give a shout out to Qahwah House, Ramsey, and then we're going to go ahead and get this show officially on the road. So make sure you're tuning in. And again, shout out to Qahwah House Coffee. Like we always say, it is definitely the best coffee in the country, not in town, in the country. Shout out to Qahwah House.
Shout out to Qahwah House.
If you're ever in need for some coffee, then you have to stop by the best place in the country. You know what that is, Yusuf?
Yeah, man, it's gotta be the Qahwah House.
It's definitely the Qahwah House. It's the first Yemeni coffee shop of its kind. You can stop by Qahwah House to try their famous Yemeni lattes, Adani Shahis, Mafawad, and Jubani coffees. You can also stop by to try their delicious pastries, such as the Yemeni favorite sabaya, everything mini bites, and they even serve sambusas. They have locations in Michigan, New Jersey, New York, and Illinois, with more locations coming to a state near you. So no matter where you're at in the country, be sure to stop by Qahwah House and get a glimpse of what the Yemeni culture is all about. Also, don't forget to download the new Qahwah House app. You can now order your coffee and go, skipping the line entirely. It's like having your own personal barista.
All right. So like I said, we are here. Looking forward to a great show. So first of all, let me just check in with the sisters, make sure y'all all right. Sada, how you been? Everything good?
Good. Still the beginning of the week. Can't wait for the weekend already.
Yeah.
But other than that,
it's never too early to start looking forward to Friday.
Absolutely.
Abir, how about you? What's going on with you, Abir?
Good, alhamdulillah. The fifth graders are coming along. A little bit more structure in the classroom. A little bit easier.
So Abir was a former first grade teacher in Hamtramck. Now she's a fifth grade teacher in Salina and Dearborn. So a little bit of a change of scenery for her. So
the little babies to the fifth graders.
So proud of you.
Thank you.
How about you, Micho? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself for people at home that are tuned in or will eventually be watching? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What is it that you do and everything else in between?
Wow. I'm going to try to summarize it.
Yeah, I know there's a lot, mashallah.
Yeah. So I'm a single mom of 3 kids, Gabriel, Valentina, and Leah, 14, 16, 19 years old. I immigrated from Lebanon at the age of 18, worked on my degree, took me 10 years to work on my bachelor, went through divorce, then became so involved in community work, nonprofit organization work, humanitarian advocacy, and political work recently. What else you want to know, Omar?
Personal life, family, and stuff like that.
I consider myself, I'm someone who didn't ride the elevator to the path of success, if I want to say. Took step by step on, if I want to say, carrying in heavy weight by going the stairs to success. And then after going that stair, at every stage, I learned a lot and still learning a lot. And every time I make improvement, I find out that there's a lot more to learn. And I'm still at the beginning. So that's how I can summarize it, Shway.
No.
Hearing you say it took you 10 years to get your bachelor's definitely resonated with me because it also took me 10 years. Did you start school after you had kids or before?
Actually, I started community college when I was pregnant with my first baby, who's 19 years now. It's funny. So it was like in parallel. I started and took a lot of breaks in between, and I got my first bachelor, then took another break, went through divorce, went back, and then worked on a second degree in criminology and criminal justice.
Yeah, people don't realize how hard it is to pursue a degree when you're married or with kids or you have a full-time job. Like, it's 10 times harder. So that's very admirable, honestly.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with that. And then you guys kind of are very similar in terms of like the path and how determined you are and ambitious and all the stuff that and you know that you both represent. So with that said, let's start off with, you know, one thing I believe you mentioned is, you know, you are divorced, right? So, and I know you could chime in with some of these answers as well. But for you, what has been one of the most difficult things you have to deal with, you know, as being an ascending, ambitious, you know, divorced woman?
We want to add to this recipe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the layers of challenge is also being an immigrant. And I want to be more specific to my case, at least. I'm an immigrant who doesn't have family here. All my family are back Lebanon.
Yeah.
And honestly, the reason why I really like to mention that, because it makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
We all, you know, use those words. I'm an immigrant, a son or daughter of an immigrant. Great. What does that mean? Were you born and raised here? Or did you immigrate with your entire family and extended cousins and uncle and khalto and teta and everyone here? Because it makes a big difference, regardless if you're divorced or not, even if you're just a single person or just married person. The fact that you have your extended family here, you have a backbone.
Yeah.
You have someone to lean on, someone to vent for, someone to ask for support without
Absolutely.
feeling the shyness and the shame, you know, for asking for help. So this is very important. It's part of who I am, and it's part of what keeps me going, and it's part of because when you say, oh, I achieved certain achievement, I got to this position, regardless of how big or how small, we often forget to focus on the trajectory to how you got there.
That's true.
And why you got there. Because how you got there and why you want to be there makes a big difference. And that's why we cannot look at people who achieved same thing, one who comes from a privileged background, or some people don't come from privileged background, but they have support, big support system. So that's why I like to be very specific and add this. So being divorced, and we know in every society is different, but we're talking about our Arab American or Muslim society, an immigrant society from Middle East, because we kind of have our own different values, different perspective for things. So number one thing, it's a taboo. And even though Islamically it's halal, you're not doing nothing haram if you get divorced. No woman ever love to be or like the idea of being divorced.
100%.
But when you're a divorced woman, it's already the moment you make a decision, before you even make the decision of getting divorced, you have the fear, the challenge. You think about how I'm gonna face that challenge, who's gonna help me. You have even the fear of thinking of making the decision, and you probably go ahead.
Did you get a divorce while you were still just alone, like in America, or was it like did you end up bringing some family in and then?
I never had my family during my divorce.
Oh wow.
She still doesn't have.
I still don't.
Other than your kids, right? That's about it.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
my kids.
So no one ended up deciding they wanted to come to America too.
No, they
or-
came visited,
Oh, okay.
but not during the divorce.
Yeah.
I actually begged my family to come live here. I did the paperwork for them to come have green card and all that, but they just,
They like it.
they don't want.
Yeah.
It's not easy for older generation who grew up there and they're stable there to come and start over. Anyway, so the moment a woman think about getting divorced, she already thinking, one, for economic stability. Is she gonna be able to support her family and herself? Two, for me at least, is the challenge of the society, stigmas. Okay.
Did you ever think that you'd have to go back?
To my ex?
No. Like, of your divorce, like you might have to go back to Lebanon.
No,
Okay.
because first of all, this is the country of opportunity. We can't deny it, despite there's a lot of things. Sometimes we don't like it, but the difference is there's hope. You can make change. That's one. And two, and which is most important, because my kids were born here, they live here, and their dad is here. I don't want to separate them from their dad, and the opportunity for them is way better. And the opportunity for me to advance also, So, yeah, we were talking about those challenges of the stigma, the economic stability that she might face. Now, being in the political arena, that's another whole challenge. It's a challenge already for a person who's not divorced, not an immigrant. I mean, it's more when you're an immigrant. But the political and community work that you do it comes with its own setup of challenges. We can talk.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, that is the next question, but I just want to quickly read a quick comment that Anonymous said, "What's up with the pink between Arman and Abir? This is not pink. This is a little light red, all right? I just want to throw that out there. Can you confirm that is reddish? All right, well, it's okay. Even if it's pink, it's okay, but I just want to throw it out
there's nothing
there.
wrong with wearing.
Yeah, just want to throw that out there,
If it's
mister.
red, so maybe you're aligning with the UAW strike.
Hey, it's funny as you said that because we actually want. I just told them I was like, we want to do a show. We have a guest next week, but I wanted to do a show if the strike is still going on for sure to talk about that and what's going on. But you mentioned you work in politics again. There's already being a woman in politics is not easy. Being a Muslim woman in politics is definitely not easy. And then being a single woman that's Muslim and in politics has to be even harder. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, first I go back to you mean you want to talk about the challenges?
Yeah, the challenges. Yeah.
But before, I'm so sorry.
Please.
Before you go into the challenges, what made you go into politics?
Good question. It was, and actually, in fact, my first degree that I worked on, it was biology. I was going into medical pharmacy, actually.
Okay.
But I always wanted to go into the sort of like political communication field when I was back in Lebanon. But because, fun fact, English wasn't a language that I knew when I immigrated. English is my third language. So when I immigrated here, I thought I can't go to law school or do politics. You need to have a good English writing and speaking and all that. I'm like, okay, let me dig into science because I'm good in science and I love science. Going back, when I went through divorce and I had to learn about the legal system, I had to read and translate things, try to talk to an attorney, but try to do my homework on my own. This is when I went back and I fell in love with going back and think about how can I make it change? How can I make a difference? First, you have to start to make a difference in your own life.
100%.
And empower yourself with the knowledge, because knowledge and information are power. When you equip yourself with that, you can empower others around you. And I'm still, by the way, in the process of empowering myself with more knowledge and information. And because I always feel like I want to give back and empower to the old girl me, the woman who were me one time a decade ago, who they wish or she wish that she had someone like me today or me in the future
100%.
to help. So remind me back on my...
Yeah, it was basically like the challenges of in politics.
Yeah, I want to go back to also the question when you were saying what got me into politics. So my divorce, going through the legal system and pursuing the divorce, nasty divorce process, unfortunately, it made me realize how it is important here to know your rights, and to know your right not just as a woman, as any disempowered, disadvantaged community, even immigrants who don't even know their basic rights, about simple as going to apply for a bridge card or for Medicaid. You know, how many immigrants we know, they don't know the system, you know. That's one. Two, around 2016, around the Trump administration election, this is when I felt like, no, I do need to be involved. There's a sentence that always strikes like into my head every time I think about politics, and even though at one time it was like kind of trauma, but now I see it as an empowerment for me. But 10 years ago it wasn't. But you know, now we talk later about how things shift and how you make it an empowerment thing, while at one day in your life it was traumatic thing.
I love that.
When I was going through divorce, my ex at the beginning, he was very controlling in a way, wasn't like empowering me. At one time he told me, if you don't do such and such, I'm gonna ship you back to the country where you came from. This same sentence, he said it to me in 2016. Trump was using this sentence, like we want to ship them back to their country. And people who are Trumpists, I mean, I know this show is not supposed to be political, but I can't not be political in talking about my own personal experience. So when people who align with this type of mentality started using the same rhetoric to go back to your country, it really it triggered me, like, you want who to go back to their country? This is my country. This is, yes, I mean, Lebanon is my biological country that I love. I love where I came from. I come from a southern Lebanon, a village in Lebanon that taught me a lot of the values of resilience and never give up and stand up for yourself and for others. But also I feel here, this country, it's like my adopted country. This is the country where it gave me my rights as a woman in terms of custody and divorce, where in Lebanon, women still can't get their Islamic divorce if her husband doesn't want her. Still, she can't get custody. Still, she can't give the citizenship if she get married to a non-Lebanese. I mean, this is why I appreciate here those privilege, and I take advantage of them to the most. So now I tell you a little bit about, you know, it explained like how I got incorporated into politics, advocacy, and kind of helped me detach from the, if I want to say, the idea of innocent, suppressed little girl who came from Lebanon, 17 years old, married to a 34 years old man, and boom, just, you know, like evolved mentally. And
give her a round of applause for that. That's a great story, great journey.
I just want to summarize some things. Okay, she came in 17 with no family.
No English.
No English, you guys. Nothing, okay? And then, mind you, everybody that I could just only imagine, and tell me if I'm wrong, when you got divorced, you said it was a kind of a messy one. So you probably lost all his side of the family too, in a way. Because usually,
Yeah.
sometimes in certain
I'm
situations,
still until now. I don't have family.
there you go. Not even like, you know, his side that when you first exactly. So imagine that, because like that's the people that you kind of trusted and you knew at one point, you know. So just I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot to.
And then going into politics, you already feel like you're
That's
alone.
by itself.
Yeah, that by
That's
itself.
by
is-
itself, like,
any
it's just-
Muslim person going into politics, they can give you like a whole book of like how challenging it is. You know, you're out there, you're advocating for things that, you know, obviously for the greater good of the community and the state at large. But, you know, sometimes you try to advocate for the, you know, your own community, and it's not easy when things are not geared towards, you know. So it's kind of like you guys are, you know, the trailblazers, and that, you know.
I mean, she said it in the beginning when she said, "I'm going to be the person that I needed."
Yeah.
When I was in that position.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure.
And
So
I love what you also said, like turning that trauma into ambition or power. What did you say again?
Yeah, like a source of empowerment.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like that switch.
I'm still until now entering the world of politics that teach me another way of how you want to manage and turning negativity in the when they push you away, you push back. You still exist.
Yeah.
This is another, and that's why I appreciate my divorce. I appreciate the setbacks in my marriage, because it it got me ready with a lot of skills of resilience, and it built me. Yani, every naqma, I don't know how to say naqma in English.
like every
Like knockdown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
setbacks,
Setback,
and I translated into na'ma.
It made it feel.
wow.
No, na'ma, naqma. It still happened with me every day. Actually, since I started politics, if I want to tell you the last year and a half in my life, how many setbacks I got, how many closed doors,
But
and
now
how
they're
many disappointments I got. But it's not just me. It's a story of every person who works in politics and every person who is ambitious. Because when you're ambitious, you intimidate some people.
That's true.
Let's be open about it, okay? I'm not here to be politically correct, okay?
Yeah,
We're
for
here
sure.
to say things the way how they are. So that this is what keeps you going. You go back to the why you're doing this work. I could have been just, regular single mom who wants to pay the bill. There's a lot of job that can pay you way more than working in the government or working in political arena, I could be that just regular mom who get a job to pay the bill and we're done. But you go back to the why you're doing this work. What is your true story? Are you authentic for the reasons of what bring you into politics, or why you want to be a change maker? You can be a leader and CEO at other companies, private company, private sector. You can make more money. If you want to talk about economic stability for a single mom, but it drives you back to your values, to your stories, and why you want to do what you want to do.
I have a question. Does this help you heal at the same time?
Absolutely. I love this question. We talk now about mental health, emotional stability. And always when we talk about those big words, leadership, success, being in public life, we forget to talk about mental health. Or when we talk about it, we're afraid to even mention it.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I'm glad, like with a lot of like professional trainings, now they started incorporating this in the mental health in this type of work and in the professionalism and advancement, because you realize when you interact a lot with people, when you have a lot of pushbacks, whether on personal level or community, like microscopic or macroscopic level or internal, where does it go? It's not evaporating outside your body. It's in your body. It's in your physical health, your mental health, and all that. And yes, and I feel, for me at least, there's no time to sit and set back and step back or pause, as if like it's a mandatory for me to, in parallel of while I'm progressing, while I'm in pain or while I'm facing what I'm facing, it's mandatory for me to heal. Going back to your point of healing, yeah, I can't afford to break down. I can't.
That's what I meant.
I bet you're nodding your head because you could agree with her.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. There's no time. There's no. I don't want to say there's no off time, but at the same time, through your struggles, you're finding ways and learning how to heal every single day, and finding a balance in a way that you still have to go.
And remember, who do I have to lean on?
That's true.
That's technically no one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am the backbone for others, which is my kids. I don't have the backbone, but this is why I'm saying, like, I'm forced. I have no other choice.
Yeah.
And this is why it goes back to just one point. Like, I want to say, some people started seeing recently, I started focusing into me. Yeah, I want to love me.
You look great.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I because it has to start from within your soul, your mental health. Because when your mental health and emotional health and mindset is tougher and stronger, this is how it reflects on the outside. And what I want to say, like, I'm like, yeah, I want to uplift me. I want to love me, because if I don't do it, who's gonna do it for me? I have to do it for me, for my kids, and to keep being productive for the people who trusted me, whether in a project that I need to do or at work. So it's not only about having a career and paying the bill. It's about proving, remember how, going back to the identity, for example, you being a Muslim, an immigrant working at the capital, there's not much of us. There's just me and another girl who wear hijab and work there. And when did it happen? Just recently. So when you drive to Lansing, or you drive or fly to DC to attend those big events in politics, for me at least, I'm not there as Machhadie or as Micho. I'm carrying in the back of my head my kids, the Muslim woman, the immigrant woman who speaks with accent, the little girl in the village of southern Lebanon, my family, my dream who I left there, that girl who have a lot of setback from her ex, who one time and many times told her, "You're nothing without me." And I became way more than what I thought without him. And by the way, that's not to encourage anyone for divorce.
We always have to make sure we say that everybody's situation is different.
A lot of gentlemen I love and I respect in our community, even in our Muslim community, who I've seen them, how they are amazing cheerleader for their wives. And that's something to admire, you know? Yeah. My dad is my great role model as a father, and he has a big part of who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Well, this is why we titled this show Resilience and Ascent, from immigrant single mom to empowered public servant. Machhadie, Assi, this is so far, this is just the first third of the show. That is, we're gonna go ahead and give a second shout out to our second sponsor of today. We're gonna give a shout out to Juicebox, Ramsey. We're gonna give a shout out to Juicebox. Shout out to Hakeem and everybody over there at Juicebox. We appreciate them and their support. So shout out to Juicebox. I know you mentioned your children. We're gonna talk about your children and how was it raising them with everything that you just mentioned. So shout out to Juicebox, and then we're gonna keep the show on the road.
All right, Yusuf, I want you to envision this with me, okay? Imagine you just had a long day at work, and all you want is a nice, cool, refreshing drink to top it all off. Do you know where you stop by at, Yusuf?
It's gotta be Juicebox.
It's definitely Juicebox. If you're looking for a place with the best smoothies, milkshakes, ice cream, cereal bars, and slushies, then Juicebox is your one-stop shop. You can try things like their Biscoff or Nutella shakes, crepes, watermelon blasts, strawberry burst, or mango smoothies. And if you're looking for a place to hang out, they have a comfortable outdoor patio/courtyard area that you and your friends can enjoy while trying those delicious drinks. So be sure to stop by Juicebox. They have a Hamtramck location right there on Joseph Campo, with more locations coming soon. You'll be sure to leave there with a big smile on your face. You'll also be able to order your drinks from the new Juicebox app, which will also be coming soon. It will be downloadable on all of your smartphone devices.
We are officially back. Again, shout out to Ramsey. I don't know if I gave him a shout out already, but we appreciate Ramsey in the back doing the ones and twos. So shout out to my man Ramsey. And speaking of Ramsey, Ramsey's the son of Abir Thabit. So maybe we could start off with you on this one while we give Micho a quick break, because she's definitely been getting the show on the road so far. So my next question is, how is it raising a child, as a single parent?
I can't say that I had it as hard as you because my family was involved. Alhamdulillah, my brothers were father figures to my son. My ex wasn't involved at all, but my family was. So I was really young. I had him, when I was 19. So I was still a kid myself, and I was still living at my parents' house. So I had a lot of support with that. Like literally, he was the ninth sibling. He was one of us. So alhamdulillah, and I can also say that Allah has blessed me with like one of the best kids ever. I can say the best. I don't want to be biased, but he is just amazing in every aspect. He never gave me a hard time.
Ramsey,
give yourself a round of applause, Ramsey. Go ahead, Ramsey. The first ever self round of applause in history. That boy was ready to give himself a round of applause.
It's fun. So alhamdulillah, like I thank God all the time because and honestly I feel like Allah gave him to me for a reason, because he is the reason why in my drive for everything. He's my why.
Wow.
So with everything that I do, like he's my why, and he makes me so proud, and he makes me feel like everything that I do, every thing is. I'm about to cry. Anyways, everything that I do is alhamdulillah, I feel blessed to have him, and he's the reason.
Yeah, I'm very unapologetically biased for moms in general who pursue education and ambition, and specifically for a single mom. Yeah. And the reason for this, honestly, because the equation of success for a single mom, it has different multi-facets, and if I want to say, and it's more complex. You know how in math you have simple equations and you have complex one, because it's squared more with more, if you want to think about it, with more factors. Therefore, this is why the formula for success is different. Because
for a single mother.
Exactly, absolutely. Like I wish one day when we start putting on a resume single mom.
Yeah.
Because it comes with a lot. It's not like an idea of, hey, she's a victim, she needs compassion. No, that's not the idea. The idea is, wow, look at her. Despite all that, she's multitasked. She's time managed. I mean, okay, we're still learning about time management. We're not perfect, but think about it. Now, sometimes you see some people, they're not able to manage a team of three workers. Okay, she's already a manager. Doing the finances, the accounting. She's already looking for resources to empower the family. That's why she's great in researching different resources and be like very creative in how to make something out of nothing or make a lot out of little bit. She's already great at conflict resolution. That's something you learn not by taking a course at the university or high advancement training. You develop that. Yeah. While you're trying to do it on your own. So, yes, the equation and the path and the trajectory for a single mom is different, especially ambitious one. Therefore, the formula for success is different and something to admire.
Sada, what are your thoughts on what's being said so far?
They say you can't judge anyone unless, you could be in their shoes or whatever, and honestly there's no shoes that could fill you guys' job as single mothers, and I'm sure that you guys are raising amazing kids, and they have amazing people to look up to, and with God you could do anything. God's the power. God's the source of the power. So single mother, whatever it may be, whatever obstacles that happens, it's because God wants you to remind you guys that he's there, and no one else could even compare to being able to help with that success.
You mentioned before that you have 3 children. So I can't even imagine. I have 1, Allah Khalili, but 3. So tell us a little bit about that, I don't want to call it a struggle, but that process and how you kind of.
Right now, alhamdulillah, I'm blessed that they're grown up. They're in high school and college.
How old were
but
they?
But when they were toddler and middle schooler and elementary, it was way tougher. And I always have, and I'm sure you probably feel it, when you're ambitious and you have kids, you always have that sense of guilt. Because we had to unlearn what we're taught. We're taught that when you're a mom, you should be the queen of sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. You need to sacrifice to make the best living for your kids. And we were taught that if you look into yourself, that means to improve yourself, invest into yourself to evolve in different aspects, not just financially or career-wise. We're taught like this is kind of, it's taking you away from raising your kids. And I'm not gonna lie, like I still until now I feel guilt. Like, okay, I drove to Lansing this morning, hour and a half, came back hour and a half, came straight here. I haven't seen my kids yet. I mean, hala mashallah, they're at the age they can make a meal and all that. But I also think that we need to unlearn the idea that if a woman invests in herself, that mean and it equate that she's not taking care of her kids. Because a woman can be still married with her husband and she can be a careless mom sometimes.
That's true.
I've seen it. Not to say that I'm perfect mom. I still doubt myself until today if am I doing the right job as a mom. But I feel there's two ways of parenting. There's that parenting where you lecture, you check on them, you teach them, you tell them what to do and what to not do. And there's another way, which is they learn by observing, by default, by them being surrounded by someone who's they're watching and they're observing the process, they're observing the setbacks, they're observing my low points and then how I get up after 2 hours as there's nothing happen and I keep going and put my guard on and go outside in the community and all that. I feel like this is another way of raising kids because you're instilling the value in them by showing them an example rather than just teaching them and lecturing them. Kids, especially at this age of teenager, they don't like to be lectured. So I kind of... And especially, honestly, when I make any kind of sense of improvement on anything, and while I'm doubting myself if I'm doing the right job, because remember, like for my kids, especially their dad is not that involved in their life, I'm their only source of values. So if they don't get the good value from me, I feel it's on me. And if they get it, inshallah, it's from me and from the blessing of Allah. So I always doubt myself, but it's good to have doubt because that's what keeps you in check and that's what keeps you figuring out, am I doing the right job or not? But subhanallah, now I switch it into how I always said, I don't have a support system. Now they are my cheerleaders. They are the one who tell me, Mom, we're so proud of you. Last time my daughter told me, last year I got one of the award and it happened that her teacher is on that Dearborn page and I was in it. And then when my daughter came and told me, Mom, my teacher told me you should be so proud of your mom.
Aww.
And she's like, now I showed, like I Googled your name and I showed it to my friend. Honestly, wallah al-azim, this meant to the world to me more than the actual award.
Yeah.
Because if you have everyone cheerleading you and saying you're amazing, but your child doesn't see that or they don't feel like this is relatable to them or they own this award, as if like you haven't done nothing. So now I feel they're more like they are my support system, like I am their support system. They also keep me in check. Like they're like, so you said you want to pursue your higher ed. Are you studying for that? Are you doing that instead of doing that?
Subhanallah,
it's changing, yeah.
Like, believe it or not, like sometimes it's a blessing when you don't have the other counterpart involved too much because the back and forth, it's a lot. It's a lot for the kids. And when they're with one parent and that one parent is actually someone that they can look up to and their family is a good family and they have uncles and aunts that they can, or I mean, in your case, it's you, but it's, for me, sometimes it's a blessing. You don't want them to get, too
and
much.
it forces you to figure out other ways of support, and other ways of like strategy in managing this single life, life of single mom. Yeah.
So you kind of mentioned like you pretty much kind of raised them on your own. How about when it comes down to community support? You know, what are your thoughts on how, you know, the community has supported you? Is it where you think it should be? Do you think there should be more support, especially for, you know, single, you know, women out there who are ambitious and trying to pursue, you know, leadership roles and stuff like that? What are your thoughts on the community support part?
Look, you know how I mentioned I don't have my family, they're back home and all that. This is why I kind of looked for community to kind of be my family. Like, that's why I'm very involved with not just the Arab American or Muslim community. I'm very involved with diversity, and I love diversity. Like, one privilege and opportunity of this country is you get to meet people who don't speak like you, eat like the food you eat, don't believe like you, and then it's an opportunity. It's a ni'mah. You get to love people in a different way and express it in different way, whether their food, whether their way of thinking, their way of support. So I started looking for community, not just like being involved in doing community work for the sake of being active, but also to build a family and a community. To go back to the support, honestly, at my weak point, yes, I was hoping to see more support and all that, but now I got to a level to not looking for support versus looking for understanding and valuing and talking about the story of what are yes, there are challenging and challenges and barriers for divorced women, but also I wanted to change that and make people who, especially decision maker, believe that yes, a divorced single mom does have challenges, but she's someone who can bring things to the table. She's someone who knows how to be a decision maker, conflict resolution, with conflict resolution skills. So, but it's a different, harder trajectory, but she has resilience, she has commitment. So instead of just looking at her as someone she's seeking help,
Or she's broken.
and let's be real here. Often, opportunities and leadership roles, some people, the decision makers, at least in the Arab and Muslim community, okay? And they don't do it purposely. This is something, remember how we had to unlearn things that we learned back home, even though people came to this country and learned new values and new ways to look at women, but there's things we can't deny, that they still look at divorced women as she's less or incapable, okay? So rather than looking for support, I advocate for looking of understanding and believing in woman who is single mom, believing in her ability, she's able to do it, believe in her ambition, because often I was saying, like, a lot of decision makers, they are hesitant to allocate some, if I want to say, or share some resources. You know how there's like that competition over the small pieces of pie, if I want to talk about it, whether in leadership position or in politics. They will be, overall and generally in the Arab and Muslim community, they'll be hesitant to share it with a single mom, because in the back of their head, they think she's the less powerful one. We don't want to take a risk in case she can't make it, in case she can't do it. And this has been honestly my motivation to keep going and change the narrative and changing the idea. But luckily, I also have to talk about the positive. The angel people who comes in my way, and they give me those opportunities because I showed them that they can rely on me, they can believe in me, whether it be my first person who believed in me at the University of Michigan, Dearborn. He was the director of criminal justice program and a judge. He's not Arab. He's not He's not Muslim. He believed in me. He gave me the first job at the university. I was his assistant teaching courses in the criminal justice. And he know I'm a single mom. He know I used to be sometimes late to classes and sometimes bring my daughter with me to classes. But he didn't see that. He saw the extra steps that I did, the extra research that I asked to do, and
The hard work.
the hard work. He saw the other part, and he was the first person who held my hand and gave me also not only the first job, he also pushed for me to get the first internship ever in the government in the Washtenaw County Public Defender. That's something I wouldn't dream to even be there part-time. At first, I was doing it for free as a free internship. The semester after, they called me. Out of all the they were interns who are not moms, not hijabi. They called me to offer me a job. Why me? And there's after that the Solicitor General Fadwa Hamoud, she's the Deputy Attorney General. She's also another person from our Muslim Arab community who really truly paved the road for me. And currently at the House of Representatives, there are great, amazing people and leaders who truly believe in a person like me, and they're giving me opportunity that I deserve because I invested in myself, but also they are wise people enough and believe in diversity and equity that they are lending this opportunity for me. So it's a two-way. You have to prove yourself, and you have to also be true to your values and character. Hold good characteristic and remember why you're doing the work, and work around the right people, because not everyone is going to believe in you, but the right ones will.
That's beautiful.
I love that.
Yep, that is great. Definitely, we appreciate you for sharing your story right now. So far, like if you're not inspired, then I don't know. I don't know what is. MashaAllah, no, seriously, because you definitely have, been through a lot of obstacles in life, and you carry a smile with you, and you can tell you have the energy, mashallah, that's still, there, and that fire is still in you, so.
Fire. Exactly.
Yeah, no,
That's
seriously.
what defined me.
She's so proud of what she's saying.
Yeah.
And like, she's not saying like, oh, but I had to go through this and I have to go through
Yeah.
this. Like, she's saying
She-
like, yeah, I went through that,
this,
but
yeah.
guess what? I got this. Like, it's so motivating. So
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure. So, believe it or not, we're going to give a shout out to our next sponsor. Before we get keeping it going, we're going to dive into feminism in our communities and, basically what keeps us going in life. So we're going to go ahead and give a shout out to Hanley International Academy, the school that Ibed and I used to work at, but we still have much love for Hanley, so we appreciate them. Shout out to Hanley International Academy, and then we're going to keep the show rolling. Yusuf, you seem like a pretty smart man. What elementary/middle school did you get promoted from?
The one and only Hanley International Academy.
Hanley International Academy is a school that treats every student and staff like their own family. It's even in their vision statement, educating your child like our own. Their location is 2400 Denton Street, Hamtramck, Michigan. Their phone number is 313-875-8888. The academics there are great. The athletics there are great. Thank you to the staff and administrators at Hanley for educating our leaders of tomorrow. All right, we're officially back again. Shout out to Hanley International Academy. So, we want to kind of talk about feminism in the Arabic/Muslim communities. I know this is something that you also wanted to make sure that we kind of touched on, and so I'm kind of interested to seeing or hearing, what were your thoughts on it and what route we didn't really get a chance to talk too much about it beforehand, but what are your thoughts on it, and what did you want to say about this specifically as well?
But are you guys to be ready for the most unfiltered section?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Let's hear this.
Gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and honestly, there's a reason for that, because especially working in the advocacy part, not in my current job, even before, one thing of when you work in the community, in diverse community, you start learning about your community and do comparative analysis on how you will look at things. You start learning about there are values in our culture or our religion that we memorize, and they become like talking points we memorize, but do we actually implement them? And then you go to different communities. For example, the Black community or the Hispanic, the white community, other states. And that's one, and I'm going to get to the topic of feminism, but I want to give a little bit of introduction why my mind is changing and shifting about how I look at feminism within the Arab American, within the Muslim community. For example, and we dive now also into the life of divorced women and feminism. I'll give you an example. In Islam, they give women right for divorce, right? In some Catholic Christianity, they don't even grant the divorce for a woman. So look at our deen. It gives us this as a halal thing. You're not doing nothing wrong, okay? And remember the stigma of divorced women? That's something our religion, and we listen and we talk and we preach about the story of our prophet. And if we know a little bit, I'm not someone expert about the religion. I can't claim to be someone to preach about stories, but we all learn from the history how our prophets, they always wanted to support divorced women or widowed, okay? But you see nowadays, it's not at all. You see it, for example, in non-Arab, non-Muslim culture, they don't look at overall divorced woman as of less or sorry. I want to say it the way how it is. It's like she's half price tag.
Yeah.
If she's divorced, as if like no matter how much you reach in professionalism, how much you invest in yourself, whether it be value, professional, and all that, we still look at a lot of people look at divorced women as she's less value of a non-divorced woman. Let's face it. Another thing, it comes the challenge within women themselves, how they look at. We always talk about feminism as man is the problem. And I know my fellow feminist friend, they're not going to like what I say. But I'm not here to sound politically correct. I'm here to say things the way how they are, because once we're not afraid of how we sound politically correct, and once we start addressing the problem the way how they are, we are halfway to the solution. Okay, so in the Arab world, especially Americanized Arab, Americanized Muslim women, we preach a lot of talking points. We repeat them in feminism. But when we come into implementing them and how we look at other women, other girls, not just divorce, but Anna, I can talk as much as I want and give example of divorced women, because that's something I live it, I experience it.
Yeah.
In closed door and in public spaces, I can tell you stories every week, every other days. That's the cost of being so involved in the community too. You start learning about those values. So we go back to, we started automatically talking about those feminist values in the modern feminism. But then in reality, we feel sometimes intimidated from a divorced woman, especially from women. Yes, men contribute to a big problem because of how they were taught. But who are they taught these values from? By moms, by mother-in-law, by sisters, by friends, by their wives. Why? I have to say it. I have to always remind people that a divorced woman is not here to take your husband from you.
Oh,
Most of the
say that
time,
again.
Malish, I want to talk about feminism. Most of the time, women who feels intimidated by other divorced women, people who are intimidated by divorced women, they are women. So how I want to talk about modern feminism and preach and act like I am evolved modern woman into feminism, but I always feel intimidated by a divorced woman. That's something I live it, I see it, I experience it. I'm not shy to talk about it. But guess what? I'm gonna still do what I want to do. I'm gonna still try to change that narrative by just being me. Even sometimes my own kids face certain stigma. Wallah, just for the fact that they are daughters or divorced women. Last time I was talking to my good friend, he's a guy, he's like, Micho, what are you talking about? This is in the olden day in Jnub Lebanon, in the south. I'm like, you're a man, you don't know what we experience. Yes, we did evolve يعني just as a picture من,
I was about to say maybe like outside of us.
Yeah, we all say, no,
yeah.
we support women education. What do you mean, no, we're not into feminism? All our women now are going to school. All our women are graduated. You know, we support women. We vouch for this woman. But behind closed doors, in closed settings, emotionally, psychologically, I see it. I see how some people, and unfortunately, when we talk about the feminism in the Arab American culture or Muslim culture, yes, we blame a lot of things on the man, and I get it. I agree. There's a lot of things. The problem is to be thrown on the man, but the solution, who's part of the solution, is the woman. And when you're not contributing to shifting those narratives, starting by you, how you look at things, how you truly empower other women, how you truly do it in action, not just in talk. Honestly, I'm sick and tired in advocacy when we preach for a lot of feminism things, but then you end up seeing women aligning against other women, preaching for some men who have maybe characteristic aligning with assault and things. You'd see them aligning with these type of men. Maybe it's psychologically and subconsciously, we still as women haven't unlearned the idea that in order to empower yourself, you can do it without relying on these figure men. You don't have to submit for them. And I'm not saying here, I'm not like talking about the idea that a woman doesn't need a man's support. No, It's amazing. I wish I have a man's support. It will make my life way easier. But what I'm saying, you can do it on your own without being involved, especially with men who are part of the problem. So you can't talk about men being part of the problem, but then align in complicated situation with these type of men who are looking down on women or involved in things that tear down women. That's what I mean exactly. I don't know if that's
No,
you get the idea.
I literally just had this conversation with one of my coworkers today. We were like, because I work with domestic violence survivors, and you know, we were just talking about a situation, and the situation involved like more of women making the issue bigger, that the issue that we were talking about. And I was like, man, sometimes I just feel like that our biggest enemy is women. Like, it's the women that are making us feel segregated. Because, again, like you said, it could be a higher power woman in a part of the family and stuff like that, getting into a man's head saying, like, oh, you're not strong enough, or you're this, you're going to let her do this or say this to you, you know? And that could trigger things even more. And then we're blaming, the man probably did the physical part, but the psychological part probably came from another woman trying to tear his dignity down. And it's crazy. It's unfair too.
And I want to add on to that, during the time of my divorce, most of the women that would get involved used to tell me, you're not being patient. Like, I was supposed to take everything that was happening. And usually any of the men in the family, or the men that I would tell, like, you know, what happened or whatever, were like quiet, like not trying to make me stay in that sense. You know what I'm saying? It was more of the woman saying, well, you need to be patient, and you need to be whatever, and you need to be, you know what I'm saying?
And don't get me wrong, sometimes it's so okay to disagree with your woman friend. It's okay to bring to her attention part of caring truly for another friend woman or a sister woman is to point to some mistakes or some mindset that's going on wrong. You want to give her true advice, going in the right direction, or when she seek advice, or when you see something wrong. It's okay to disagree. But what I'm saying is we have to differentiate between this and between actively going and taking steps against a woman, aligning with the type of man, not all men, the type of man that we're fighting against or against such behavior. That's what I mean. Not fighting against men, because I always I have to remind people when we say feminism, it doesn't mean man hater, because I hate this idea itself. I mean, we complete each other's, subhanallah, especially when you want to make a family. You need the perfect example for a raising family is to have your partner with you,
100%.
Yeah. Great conversation right now. I like the way where it went and everything in between. So, with everything that was just mentioned, we can even ask you this, Abir. What makes you keep going, even though like all the things that you got going against you and you have going on in your life? Like, what keeps you going? I know you mentioned your son. Is there something else?
If I don't get up, who is? Honestly, at this point, I want to be the person that provides the life that I want. If I want to live a certain way, I know I'm going to have to work a certain way. So I'm not one to ask for, too much favors or, help or whatever. I know that if I want to make something happen, I got to get up and make it happen, And I love it. I love genuinely eating the bread that I made, so to say. You know what I'm saying? Or what is it, like weaving the blanket?
Don't look at me. You know what I mean?
I don't know. There's
I
a
understand
saying.
what you're saying.
Basically, if I work hard, I get to play hard.
Yeah, enjoying the fruits of your labor.
And enjoying the fruits of my labor. And at the same time...
But can I tell you, Abir, something?
What's up?
Don't be shy to ask for help. I used to be so shy and feel shame if I ask for help. Unfortunately, I had to learn that it's okay to do it and ask for help.
I mean, it's going to come.
I had to unlearn this. Yeah.
When I feel like also too, when you get burnt in a way, hyper independence just rises. It's also like the shield. So I think that's why, it's hard to ask for help.
Yeah, a lot of time I say, like, I'm sick and tired of, how a lot of people, Haram, they give me good compliment. You're a strong woman, strong woman, strong woman. I'm tired of being strong.
Yeah.
So it's not fun to be a superwoman and play the role of super mom, superwoman. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. But yeah, I mean, it's good that other people see that, but they don't see what's behind.
Oh, there's a lot.
Yes.
There's a lot for sure. But to, come back after that. Yes, it's hard work. Yes, there's a lot of days where you want to give up and you want to just say, screw it, I don't care, it is what it is or whatever. But once you go through a relationship, you're not going to be okay with just anything. Once you go through a relationship that really tests you and you learn what you want, you learn what you deserve, you set your boundaries, you know where you stand, you're not going to accept anything less. So I'd rather work 10 times harder and go through what I'm going through than be content with something that's not worth it.
Abir, how this helps me a lot. And if I want to look at it positively and how it projects into the life of the challenge of working in politics, it really, the same way how you exactly explained it, it teach me now to know my worth, know my value, because at one point someone made you doubt it, right? Yeah. Now you know what you want, what are you, and how it builds your confidence. Because now when we talk about confidence, some people think, it means, you think you're the best and you're better at everything. Confidence, it exactly means your weaknesses, and how you learn and you care about overcoming them and making them strength, confidence and resilience. Because when you go through that stages of divorce and that trauma, that stage that helps you build who you are today, it really, because you face something, at least in politics, you face something very similar. But instead of having that one giant man intimidating you and feel intimidated by you, you have, if I want to say, a lot of gangsters, big pictures, big people, powerful people, and oftentimes I feel they look at me like, what is she doing here? I mean, why her? Like, Isn't it better that she goes be with her kids? Why she's always available at every event or having seats on that table or in this meeting? Who is she? You know? And that goes back to what keeps me going is that who is she or why is she here? And now, if you want me to share like my favorite quote that it keeps me going and it keeps me do what I want to do is for Shirley Chisholm, if they don't give you a seat on the table, bring your folding chair. I've been having my folding chair with me always, everywhere. And if I don't have a seat at the table or my folding chair, I make sure I exist in that room, even if I want to just stand and be part. Because if you don't have a seat on the table, at the table, you're going to be at the menu. That's what they say. So, exactly. And that's something I live it. I still until now. Like, look, when you know how we went back to the idea of you go through the stages of divorce. When you start knowing your worth and what you bring to the table and what you invested in yourself, well, even the people who doubt you or people who believe in you, but they don't like that you are there, or people who believe in you and they know you should be there, but they don't want you to be there. All these three people, when you still into you know your worth and you know you belong there because you know what you bring, you know what you invested in yourself, they start later on. You know how that saying say, first they laugh at you, second they fight you, then I think I don't know what they do, and then they start believing in cheerleading for you. It's stages,
and then they want you.
Exactly. So this is the type of challenge. But first, you have to prove to yourself that you have a track record of being able to deliver, and it gives you. This is how you build your confidence. If your past experience of failure and bumpy road, you prove to you that you were able to overcome it and deliver result. Because if you don't prove this to you, you're not going to be able to build enough confidence of knowing that you encapsulated the resilience and persistence. And once you empower that yourself from within, this is how it can reflect on others. And this is when others start believing you, whether they like it or not, and whether they admit to you or not.
I just want to say, I got my new quote for our bio. If you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu.
It's a good one. So today, shout out to the nosy older Arabic lunch aide that I keep meeting every time I take Amila to breakfast. Every time she stops me, she has to talk to me. You know, she's trying to figure me out. Okay, so she finally was like, "Are you married?" You know how the older woman, they just get nosy. And I said, "No, I'm not. I'm divorced." And she's like, "You know what? Good for you." And mind you, this is all in Arabic. She was like, "Your degree is like a salah, knife, right? Like a sword." She said, "Your degree is like a sword to kill any of your haters." She's like, "You are better than any of us from back in the day." She's like, "I look at you girls and I'm so proud of you guys. And you don't, unless the man is samlu asal, like you said, butter or honey." She's like, "You don't have to, mess with that because you can take care of yourself."
And it saddened me to have that mentality and association of thinking as if like you can't achieve things unless you get divorced.
Yeah.
And then it will start sounding as if like we're encouraging divorce.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, why can't we? We're just trying to tell people like, no, you can. I mean, having a husband is something amazing. It's the perfect utopian situation, if I want to say. But we're trying to say, if that didn't exist, or if Allah gave you that situation where you're different, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You're not there, that divorced woman, looking for, after that divorce, she's looking for another man to complete her. She's there to take someone else's man. No, trust me. A divorced woman can be so busy looking for the next professional training or for the next opportunity to advance herself. So busy looking for these opportunities. If they're not given to her, she's chasing them. She's researching them. there are women who are like that, right?
Yes,
They
and I want to
exist.
say we don't encourage. Well, I don't encourage divorce at all. I encourage a healthy marriage.
Of course.
That's
Who
what I
doesn't-
encourage.
Who doesn't like and dream for healthy?
And if you don't have that, then take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So, Sada, I have to ask you this question, right? So, hearing all this, I mean, obviously you're not divorced, but just
Inshallah,
hear,
you will never.
inshallah.
She's single though. Sorry.
That's the sister hookup, by
I
the way.
can't talk now.
And see the
I can't.
sister hookup? What are you laughing for? Ramzi, Ramzi's laughing back there. My question to you.
Getting too late.
Hey, my question to you is, what would you want to see from the community? I mean, obviously, I'm gonna ask all you this. What would you want to see from the community when it comes to how they should address women, especially aspiring women, and then even especially, obviously, aspiring single woman or divorced woman? But more so, what would you want to see from the community, towards women, especially aspiring women?
One, I don't think that should be that should define them in any way, and if it is, it should only be more encouraging to the to the people that are want to hire them or whatever it is. They should be more understanding because they have to get up and work too. Again, that shouldn't be, like she said, it's not the end of the world. I just don't think it should be something that it's frowned upon or make them look any less or feel any less, it's just like if it was a divorced dad and he was taking care of everything, he would be the hero and oh my God,
he would be
he's
like
the best.
Oh my God, 1 in a million. If it was a dad taking care of the kids and doing everything.
To sum up everything that I'm feeling right now is if you go and you watch the video of Taylor Swift, The Man, you'll definitely understand how I feel. Like she said, men are amazing, and men could be such a great value into our society and our lives. And as long as there's this mutual respect and not one's higher than the other, we all could go far, and it could be more easier for single mothers to feel like that they are capable to do it, and not feel like they have to fight to do it. So yeah.
I mean, how about you? What would you want others to see, or how they view women, and especially aspiring women? What would you want to see from them in the community?
Let's start by having the same amount of pay.
Yeah.
Come on, pay us the same. Let's start there. But no,
great point.
On a serious note.
No, that's a serious one.
Honestly, I feel like you said before, subhanAllah, Allah, made men and women, and at the end of the day, we do have different roles, but at the same time, when it comes to work, we both put in the same amount of work. When it comes to the home, obviously every home, I do believe, needs two people to have a strong, support system. But in any case, if one side is weaker than the other, it's okay for them to break apart and to live their separate lives. No one should be judged, about that, unless nobody knows what anybody's going through. So when it comes to society and the way that they look at women, just understand that we all have our struggles. Everybody makes decisions for, whatever reasons they believe that they need to make them for. And to just, look, I just want them to look at me as an individual, not so much as a woman, and to, just understand that we also have input and we also have brains, and behind a lot of strong men, I hate to say behind a lot of strong men is a stronger woman helping them go,
And I
through.
forgot to mention that probably 90% of the women that we brought into the podcast are usually single mothers, and they're on the podcast for a reason. They have a story to tell. They have amazing, extraordinary lives and work that anyone could be inspired from.
The crazy thing is remember at Della how they had that woman. Okay, so mostly, I could say 80% of the women that came up, and this is what kind of made me feel sad. Just not sad, but more of disappointed. Were divorced, and I was in my mind, I'm like, dang. So
How much she could have accomplished more if she had
the support.
supporting man.
Not only that, though, I think what she was going to lead at is these women are empowering women, but they all have one thing in common is that they're divorced, and it kind of tells you that the man wasn't there for them.
Failed them.
You know what I mean? For that moment. But
And that fueled them.
yeah, that's another conversation though. For another topic, I might have to do a separate one for that. But my question to you, same thing. What would you want to see from the community when it comes to supporting, aspiring women, even divorced women?
Instead of, like we said before, but I'll elaborate more. Instead of, we're not looking for compassion, or we're not here as a victim mentality, even though at one point we were a victim of something, and we overcome that victimization, if I want to say. Rather, we're looking for understanding rather than compassion, even though compassion is great. But the reason why I say an understanding, because especially for a man or for the decision maker folks, you're not really expecting to have them use their feeling. They're using their frontal lobe, and mind you, frontal lobe for women, they're more advanced than men. That's biology. That's not me, not my feminism. And frontal lobe are they're responsible for planning and executive decision. So anyway, what I like to see from folks in community is have a belief that women are capable, divorced women are equipped with a lot of skills and values that help her lead projects, team, leadership position in different aspects. Not only because she wants to prove to the society that she can do it, but because the history that she went through to overcome equipped her with those abilities and forced her to build them along of managing that life of single mom and facing the society balances. She had to learn them naturally.
I love that, man. Thank you. And so we're about to go ahead and run our last ad, and then we're going to get the Motivate Me 313 minute. This is the clip that we typically pull out, even though there were so many great quotes throughout the show. It's
like
easier.
The frontal lobe one, so people could understand that women are more equipped than messing around.
I can tell by your face. I know by your face if you're messing around. BC Adhesives, Ramsey. We're going to give a shout out to BC Adhesives. We appreciate our fellas over there, Matt, Terry, Cassidy, always supporting every single year without hesitating. So shout out to BC Adhesives. And then we're going to let Machhadie.
Good job.
Well, yeah, I got it, man. I know. I'm on top of it.
Shout out for Alma.
We're going to have her close out the show with her motivational quote and final words. So go ahead, Ramsey. BC Adhesives.
I believe it's very important for every team to stick together. And what I do here at Oz Media to make sure we are all one glue is I stop by BC Adhesives.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what it's used for.
Nah, Yusuf, it's not. But you can go to BC Adhesives for all your industrial adhesives needs. They do food packaging, book binding, product assembly, and many other industrial services. So if you are in need of adhesives for your business or having trouble with your current adhesives applications, you can contact them by phone 1-888-679-9825 or go to their website at www.bcadhesives.com.
All right, we're officially back. Again, want to say one more time, shout out to Ramsey. Even Wahabi gave you a shout out. My wife said, well, first of all, she said real men wear pink. That was earlier.
Yeah.
And then she put round of applause. So that was when everybody was talking earlier. So she said round of applause to everyone for the conversation. So with that said, all right, I'm going to say your name, Machhadie, because I'm so proud I got it correct, all right? What advice do you have for other ambitious divorced women out there? All right, so what is your advice?
And also add to people who works in politics.
Yes.
Right, because this advice that I'm given, even though it comes from a divorced woman, but it can apply to any person who face challenges and barriers, overcome it. I would say in a world that the hypocrisy aligns with political correctness, always remember to be authentic and true to yourself and unfiltered. However, remember that this is going to come with a price. Because always when you're authentic and not politically correct, there's a price you pay for that, whether sometimes saying the wrong thing or that's wrong for someone else, but you know your intention, you know you're there to be authentic, not just to please the status quo. And there's that, be ready to pay that price. And also, while you're trying to expand your network and build community and build connection and strengthen your network, be ready, and it's okay to burn bridges, because this is when you know sometimes you're doing the right thing, not by burning bridges, but some shaky bridges, they're not meant to be there, because anyway, you need a strong one. So you got to find a balance between building that sense of community and expanding that network and keeping the right strong bridge that you can rely on to do what you're supposed to do and go to next level. Because at the end, it's better to be respected for who you truly are than to be like to a fake persona that's not you. And on the long term, that's what matter. You have to be patient though, and continue to do the goodness and your part of input in that world, the goodness, whether it be uplifting others, providing opportunity to others, even if people sometimes can be not loyal. Sometimes you get bumped in the face, stabbed in the back. That's okay. At the end of the day, remember that your input of goodness, it's gonna reach equilibrium in the output that's coming back to you, whether you call it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's work, or whether it be you call it karma, whatever system you believe in. When you do your part of the good input in the ecosystem of the world you're in, it's gonna come in different source, in different format, in different faces of people that you never even imagine it will come. They will bring that goodness to you, and keep planting the seeds for trees that it's not gonna be your shade. This is the way how you keep your good traces in life, when people remember you with something good you've done to them or for them, whether intentionally or unintentionally.
That was beautiful.
Listen, Machhadie, I can just say this for everybody that's going to eventually watch, inshallah, or everybody that is here right now. You are making your family proud. You are making all foreigners proud. You are making all the Arab proud. You are making that girl from South Lebanon proud. And just know you're making all Muslims proud.
Can I say bil Arab?
Yeah.
Go Ahl al-Junub.
You're
There you
making
go.
probably all of whole Lebanon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, and so keep up the great work. I love the energy. I love the way you are passionate about what you do. And I know it's not easy. I know you're going to go home after a long day and you're going to be exhausted, and it's the part that nobody sees, but you know, just know that people are watching and you're doing an amazing job. Sara, any final words?
Keep shining, keep inspiring, and I love what you said about the planting the seeds, and for the shade for the rest too, because that's, you know, showing who you are and you're leaving your legacy.
And Abid?
Thank you.
I'm proud of you, honestly, and to see a fellow woman succeed and, you know, flourish is a beautiful sight to see. And I could just see that, you know, you're gonna keep going up, you know,
Inshallah.
especially with your mindset, mashallah. I can see you.
And I thank you for all that, and thank you for the opportunity, and for you guys doing the amazing work. You're really doing that and highlighting. I've seen a lot of your guests. They are my good friend who they empower me and they inspire me personally. So thank you for shedding the light on them. But also, I want a final thing to say about the trajectory. Even though it's different, even though we talked about the obstacles and the barrier and the heavy weight we carry on, but alhamdulillah, we're there. Sometimes you're being pushed away, you're pushing back, you still exist. Yes, it might be a slow path. It's a different brand of success, a different language, if I want to say, like non-traditional one. But it doesn't matter the pace of the success or the trajectory. It matters the direction. As long, inshallah, we're going in the right direction, this is what matters more than the speed.
100.
Final round of applause of today. Great show. We hope that you enjoyed it. Again, this was season 3, episode 3 of Motivate Me 313's podcast. Again, you can, first of all, if you're watching or eventually watching, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube, Oz Media. You can follow us on all of our socials, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under Oz Media. You can listen to the show later on Apple and Spotify podcasts under Oz Media. Thank you all for watching. I got to give a shout out to all of our sponsors. Like I mentioned before, you got Hanley International Academy, Juice Box, the Balkan House, Qahwah House, BC Adhesives, Specialty Medical Center as well. We appreciate those 6 sponsors that are sponsoring this show. Thank you for the support. Thank you so much to Machhadie for coming on the show. Anybody that you can think of that you would think would be a great guest, we're always happy to hear or happy to have them on. We hope that you all enjoy this episode. We'll be back again next week with Detroit Halal Eats. That's, I got her name right, or did I say that wrong? Detroit Halal Eats, Amir, that's correct. She'll be on the show, inshallah. Looking forward to having her and hearing her journey and her story as well. We hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday and have